Hey everyone, and welcome to week 27 of baby girl's pregnancy. She is weighing in at about 2 pounds right now, and she definitely feels like it, if not more. This last week has become, actually every single week now, and probably from here on out, is just getting more and more uncomfortable. So I'm really glad that we went to Haiti when we did, because that was actually probably my last comfortable week that I've had. Since we've gotten home, I've just been noticing, like the other day I tried to get off the couch like just my normal old way, just to like hop on up, and that hurt like a ton. So now I'm having to like do the whole like pregnant roll and go onto my side, or I don't know. It's not that fun anymore. So I'm really kind of nervous about it because my first two pregnancies were actually kind of comfortable, and I'm not so sure if that was because I was a lot heavier than I am now, or because they were the first two, or because I was just so excited because they were the first two and it was something new that I hadn't experienced before. I really don't know what it is. I'm kind of thinking it might be third pregnancy. They're a little bit hard on your body, and each one just kind of gets more difficult. So we'll see. With all the uncomfortableness that's been going on, I have really been thinking a lot lately about labor and delivery and how that's going to go. Because the last few weeks or month or so, I have not been working out regularly. Like, I'm lucky if I get on the treadmill like 1 day a week, and that's not good. And I would love it if I could start doing my prenatal DVD like at least every other day, or at least 3 times a week or something. I'm just not finding the motivation or making the time or something, and I really need to get on that and find some type of motivation, hopefully more than just this uncomfortableness that I'm dealing with. But what it makes me think of is my previous labor and delivery stories. Although thought I was in better shape on this one, or am in better shape on this one than I was in my previous two, it's seeming like this is a more difficult pregnancy, and so I'm wondering if that means my labor and delivery is going to be more difficult, or what's going to happen. So that's kind of why I want to start working out and getting in better shape. For my first labor and delivery, it was like clockwork. Whenever my contractions started working, I actually had my parents in town before the baby was born, and my sister, and my brother was coming that day. With all my family coming in there and like having a time frame that they needed to leave by, I was kind of feeling under pressure of like, okay, we need to get this baby out. So we had set a date, like the next day after all my family was there, I was gonna be induced to get this baby out on time so all my family could meet her. And but I called in the morning. They said call in the morning, see if there's room for you, and whatever. So all night, that last night before, when you're supposed to like get a really good night's rest because you're about to like have the hardest workout ever in your life the next day, I could not sleep because I was so like antsy about like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna have a baby tomorrow. I have no clue how it's gonna go, what's gonna happen, la la la. And so I just could not sleep. And then I called in the morning. I think I could call by like 6 a.m. and find out if they could take me or not. So I called at 6, and they were too busy. So I couldn't be induced, couldn't have the baby then. And I was actually like relieved. And so then I finally slept, I think like a solid 2 hours at that point, and got some rest. Woke up and then had my dad cook my favorite meal ever, which is sausage gravy and biscuits. So that was my last meal before delivery, because that morning our family had planned to go out and do some sightseeing, show my parents around, because they hadn't really seen a whole lot of the scenery of where we were living at the time. And so we went out to like a state park and started walking around and stuff, and my contractions started happening, and they were happening regularly, and they started coming closer and lasting longer and getting more intense. So we continued just throughout the day. I think, yeah, we had like a brunch type of deal. So then we were out until about dinner time. We came back home. Contractions were getting stronger and closer together. And we ate dinner. I think I went and showered and got all ready, made sure our bags were already packed. So got our bags, kind of just took our time getting to the hospital, because it wasn't like super close at that point yet, but it was at the time where it was like, okay, now we have just gotten to the point where it says you need to go in and start delivering the baby. So we went ahead and took our last picture, my last pregnancy picture of what my belly looked like before going into the hospital. Took a little family photo of me and Tim, just the two of us of our little family, before we added one to it, and ended up going to the hospital. And my labor plan for the first one was to go all natural, not do an epidural. And I figured, we'll just see how the pain goes, see how things go, because I have no clue what to expect. But it was a lot more difficult than I was expecting. We did the whole birthing classes and everything, and I read the Bradley book, or the Bradley method, because that was like what my sister-in-laws had recommended. And but I just could not relax. Like, contractions were way harder and way stronger than I had imagined or planned for. And so Tim and I really didn't practice a whole lot. We practiced every so often for like the relaxation stuff or whatever, and how you're just supposed to calm yourself down and let your contractions come and breathe through them. And no, it was not peaceful. And I was so tense. And so they had given me a couple meds, not an epidural, but something that like knocked me out in between every single contraction, which I had heard that some women are able to like sleep in between each one. And I didn't believe it. But once I had this medicine that totally just like knocked me out. But every single time a contraction came on, I was super tense. I could not relax any part of me. And I was just in so much pain. And at that point, the nurses offered for me to have an epidural, but I didn't think I could sit long enough and be still to be able to get it. So I rejected the epidural, which was probably the worst mistake that I made for that labor and delivery, and just had to fight through it. The good thing about not getting the epidural, though, was when it came time to push, 3 times and she was out. So that was a blessing right there, that didn't take very long, and it was actually like a very like comforting thing to just get her out and into the world and into our arms. And we were surprised. We didn't know that Hannah was going to be a girl. We kept her a surprise, and it was actually kind of funny because I never like knew for sure that she was a girl while we were in the hospital. I never had to change her diaper. Either Tim did it or the nurses did it. And so I didn't actually know, like I just had to take their word, like, okay, we have a girl, like, and I couldn't believe it. I didn't know. I don't know. I was really hoping for a girl for my first one, and I just felt so blessed that God gave us a girl for our first baby. So that was really fun. The recovery part after that one, though, was painful because I was so tense during the labor and delivery and couldn't relax. My muscles just ached for probably a good 3 or 4 days afterwards, just being so tired from all the tension that I had during the labor and delivery. So my next story for labor and delivery is with Seek, and I'm going to save that for another week. But I do want to say that went a whole lot different and a whole lot better. So I don't know what I'm going to do for this one, or I kind of have a plan for this one, but you'll get that closer to when labor and delivery comes. Only 13 more weeks. Wow, that's going to go so fast, especially with Thanksgiving this month, Christmas the next, and then we have January. Like my last week, I'll be waddling around and just waiting for this little baby girl to come out. And only 13 more weeks to be able to figure out a name too. We've been talking a lot more about names lately, but we still, I don't know. We've even considered now dropping the idea of doing biblical names because we're not coming up with any really that we're too excited about. So I don't know. If you have cute girl names that you want to recommend, you can comment below with those. We need some help. I need names. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. But baby girl, we'll get a name eventually. All right, well that's it for this week. Make sure you subscribe so you can hear my next labor and delivery story about how Zeke's went. And make sure you don't miss out on that one. And then later on, I will be sharing my labor and delivery plan for this baby and see how well I can actually follow up on that. And I'll tell you after the birth how that one went. But thank you so much for subscribing. I'm so excited. This last week we hit 600 subscribers. Thank you so much for coming along. And for those of you that are coming along because of my Weight Watchers videos, thank you. Please stick around because when this baby's coming, we're going to be right back on the train with Weight Watchers and losing weight and eating healthy, measuring all my food and everything. I've been really lenient with that lately, especially this last week. I've been super hungry. But I've only gained, as of last week, 12 pounds in this pregnancy, and I'm 27 weeks along. So I'm doing pretty good weight-wise, and when I'm hungry, most of what I'm eating is really healthy. Like tonight I made a quinoa and chickpea salad that had carrots in it, and then some seasoning. So that was a really like minimalistic meal. That was actually pretty good, and the kids ate it like crazy. I was kind of nervous that they weren't going to eat dinner, but they did. It was good. Stick around, thumbs up, comment below. I love to interact with you, and I'll see you later. Bye.